if you think the world would be ready for the news of potential extraterrestrial life with higher technologies than us and us not being the center of the universe. Do you think the civilizations would be panicked, or do you think at this point they'd be ready to accept it with an open mind?
No, I think what will happen at first is that people will just continue with their daily routine and ignore it. Most people, and many scientists would be very critical of any such finding and dismiss it. But once there is good enough evidence, like for example, suppose the Galileo project obtains a high-resolution image of an object in the sky, and we can see the screws and bolts on its surface, so it's not a bird, it's not a biological creature, and then it maneuvers in ways that cannot be reproduced by human-made technologies. I mean, that's very simple. We rule out a natural origin, and we also rule out a human-made technological gadget because it behaves in or it has properties that we cannot reproduce. That's a possible scenario. So then the only question is, how good is the evidence? And if we keep seeing it and we record it with many cameras in the infrared, optical, radio, audio, eventually nobody can deny it. Okay. Another possibility, suppose there is another object like Oumuamua, and we design a space mission that lands on it, and we see some buttons on it. So it's clearly not a rock. We can press a button. So, there are situations where any reasonable person will not be able to deny it. But it will take a while to get to that point because such a process requires funding. When people say extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, they have to understand that extraordinary evidence requires extraordinary funding. That's fully understood in the context of science because some of the most important discoveries require huge amounts of funding, billions of dollars, and sometimes we don't find what we are looking for. And there are many examples for that, like the Large Hadron Collider cost $10 billion, and in addition to the Higgs boson that it found, it was looking for supersymmetry. It didn't find it. And so there are examples where we put billions of dollars, don't find what we are expecting. That's part of science. But the point is, without putting the billions of dollars, we would never get to the point where we can check for it. And so when people say there is no extraordinary evidence, well, there wasn't an extraordinary evidence for supersymmetry to start with. It was just in the heads of those theoretical physicists who suggested it, but we haven't found it. So that shows it's not real. And therefore, the only way for us to figure it out was by investing those billions of dollars and doing the experiment. And so if we know that we exist, which we know, and we know that we launched probes to interstellar space, which we know, and we know that a significant fraction of all the stars like the sun have a planet like the Earth, and those stars formed billions of years before the sun, then it's a completely reasonable possibility that we would find spacecraft nearby that came from far away, because they sent them more than 1 billion years ago. And within 1 billion years, even a chemical rocket can traverse the entire Milky Way galaxy. So the question of whether we have any probes in our cosmic neighborhood is not a philosophical question. It's just a question of looking through telescopes, putting the money towards this research. That's what the Galileo project is trying to do. But we have limited funds, and I'm saying, obviously, it will be difficult to get extraordinary evidence unless there are more funds allocated for it.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.